Welcome to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I'm here with my lovely wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins. And we are here live with Pillow Talk. Pillow Talk is where we get together and have intelligent conversations, uh, sometimes against our pillows, but sometimes we're just talking pretty much anywhere. And I want to say hello to everybody and welcome. And also hello to our friends on Instagram. I hope that our friends on Instagram can hear us. We're sitting here just kind of awkwardly trying to see how things work. Sometimes our audio is good. Sometimes it gives us weird issues, but hopefully it's all good. And if you could give us a yes and let us know you can hear us, we'd appreciate it. And what's up, Scott Truce? I see you. And actually today we were just sort of sitting around on a Sunday and talking about stuff. How you doing today, babe? By the way.
I'm good. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. It looks like everybody can hear us, so I'm seeing a lot
we can be heard.
I'm seeing some yeses and hearing some yeses. Okay, and so today a couple thoughts hit my brain. Now, how many of y'all have heard of this thing called quiet quitting? Have you ever heard about quiet quitting before, where they're talking about people that are just basically kind of like giving up on their jobs? And they're keeping the job. They want to keep the money. Let's see. Somebody says you have a slight chop at the end of your sentences.
See, that's a problem.
Yeah. No,
wait,
right?
Is that on Instagram? Is this chop?
I don't know. I'm not an audio expert, but we just gonna make this work. We just gonna make this work. So anyway, but yeah. So there's this quiet quitting phenomenon where basically there are people quitting their jobs, but not really quitting their jobs. Has anybody ever heard it? Have y'all heard about this?
Anybody guilty?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, well, apparently quiet quitting has become kind of a big conversation topic on the internet, and people have opinions about it and stuff like that. First off, let me just look up the meaning of quiet quitting. Okay, so this is according to verywellmind.com. It says the trend quiet quitting has been rising in popularity on TikTok and social media in recent weeks. It doesn't actually involve quitting a job, but doing less work, perhaps refusing to work overtime or answer emails outside of work hours. So I don't think it's that bad. It seems like it's kind of pissing people off, though.
Ooh, who's it making mad, Boyce? Is it making employees mad?
Nope.
Is it making employers upset?
Nope. Who's it making bad?
We used to have this culture where you were rewarded for going above and beyond your job. We used to have a situation where you put in 100% of your time unpaid work toward making sure you impress your boss, making sure that you are going above and beyond and doing everything that you need to dot all your I's and cross all your T's and all of these things. We're leaving our families at home and we're dedicating all of our lives in our work. We're burying ourselves in our work with very few returns.
Okay.
And so it signals that there is a problem with the work culture and the fact that, employers are not getting the volunteering to take on more tasks outside of what you're already doing. Uncompensated time. And I remember when I first started as a faculty member at my institution, I worked 18 hours a day. I was teaching a full load of courses every semester and joining committees and trying to integrate myself into this atmosphere, and it was very stressful. And I think for what most universities and employers need to keep in mind is that they need to have some way to compensate workers for their hard work in a way that they're not doing. It's like they're taking it for granted. And no, people are in a position where they're not going to volunteer to take on more work for a pat on the back. I also think, well, do you have anything to say to that? Because I got other thoughts about that.
No, I think, first of all, let me just cheer for the people who have a good work-life balance. You're smart. I'm going to start off I thought a lot about quiet quitting, and and I've been telling Black people to quit their jobs a long time. I think quiet quitting, it's always like double for Black people. I think that there's like white people quietly quitting because being white is just so difficult, and and the oppression they endure must be unbearable. But then there's like what Black people go through, and y'all know. I mean, give me a yes in the chat if y'all understand what I'm talking about. Like, being Black means you really going through some shit on your job. You going through stuff white folks like Becky and Karen would literally like fall apart if they had to go through even one day in the life of a Black man or a Black woman. So let's just keep it 100. Like, I think the quiet quitting phenomenon, I think Black people been doing this since slavery.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Like I really think like we've been quietly quitting. I really think that like you could go hundreds of years back. I mean, think about it. We were making money. We were making money for white folks and not getting paid at all and enslaved from birth. So I think that we probably mastered the art of quiet quitting before white people took that trend and made it their own.
And what's funny is that, it's been written now. There's a lot of articles about quietly quitting, and we as Black people are just like, we've been doing that for a long time. It's only a problem now that they've noticed that even white people are starting to get disgruntled. And I think that with the pandemic, and we're starting to realize that, I can be at home for my children and help them with their homework and get my regular job done. They're starting to realize that I don't have to spend money on clothes and put gas in my car to drive to a job and work this job for 8 hours and sit around there and neglecting my family. Now, with the pandemic, we're starting to realize that, I can be just as productive in my house and not trying to suck up to my boss and be the company man for my boss. I can just do the job as I'm supposed to do it, and then also be there for my family. So I think it's a wonderful thing. Workers unite. How about that?
Okay. All right. So everybody who's listening or watching on Instagram, first of all, my Instagram is The Real Boyce Watkins. What's up on Instagram? Hope you guys can hear us okay. We're talking about quiet quitting. Quiet quitting is a recent trend on TikTok where basically you have millions of people, particularly those in Generation Z, and I'm going to talk about that in a second, who are basically quitting their jobs without actually quitting. They mentally have abandoned the job. They are refusing to do extra work. They don't want to take any emails after work. And that's kind of becoming an issue. There's a lot of response to this. A lot of people are cheering it on. A lot of people, there are some backlash to it. And I'm going to actually give some different dimensions to that. But before I do that, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Also, in case you don't know, in the Black Business School, we have really embraced financial therapy. My wife is a licensed therapist. She's been a licensed for a couple decades now. And also she's a certified clinical trauma professional, which means that for Black people, many of our bad financial choices are driven by trauma. They're driven by us having crazy experiences that come with being Black. And until we can break out of that mindset, it's going to keep us enslaved financially. So one thing Alicia is doing tonight is she is doing a financial she's doing another financial therapy session tonight. It's kind of a group coaching thing, and maybe you can even talk about that. But she's going to talk tonight about discovering your financial personality and how to kind of work through the limitations economically that might have been established when you were a kid. So if you would like to join, you can actually go to boycewatkins.com. The link is right there. Or you can also click the link in the bio if you're watching on Instagram. Did you have something to say about that?
Oh yeah, I mean it is a great idea, Boyce. I really love. I mean, some of this came out of our conversations about therapy and trauma and all of this.
My back is itching.
Your back is itching.
Yeah, I'll
scratch your back.
Keep talking.
I'll scratch your back. Yeah. So even just scratching each other's back. I mean, metaphorically speaking, just being able in your relationships to trust somebody to be there for you and scratch your back when you need it, and how those trust violations in your past. I didn't do a good job.
You did good. It was on the left hand side.
Should I reach under your shirt?
You know how your back itches and you got to hit just the right spot. Go a little bit to the left.
To the left?
No, the other left.
Oh, the other left.
There you go.
I don't know my left.
Down a little
bit.
Right.
Okay.
There we go.
Anyway,
okay, thank you.
So it's helping each other out and knowing that because I came through for you, you trust me now, right?
Yes,
You
I
trust
do.
I'm going
I
to be the best
appreciate
back
it.
scratcher ever.
I'm going to cheer for you. Thank you. Go
I
ahead.
love that. I mean, just what if your back was itchy and you wanted me to scratch it, and I was just like, why? Or yeah, I'll scratch it and then not show up, not scratch your back. Anyway, what is that going to do to our relationship? Are you going to feel like you can count on me?
You'd be a dud.
Can we count on each other? So, some of that is, of course, tied to, am I the first person that didn't scratch your back like you wanted to? Or is this a pattern in your life?
Well, I asked my mama to scratch my back.
Your mama when you were little,
and she didn't scratch it.
She didn't scratch your back, and so now you're like walking around itchy and feeling unloved.
Well, you know what? It's yeah. So I think that these sorts of money emotional topics and I think they should be addressed in a way that isn't just the way it's kind of done on the internet. On the internet, you have people kind of giving a lot of opinions, kind of swinging from the hip. And I know a lot of my friends who are licensed therapists who actually really got trained on how this works are going crazy kind of watching this. So one of the things we wanted to do in the Black Business School was really highlight those Black therapists who are truly trained, licensed, credentialed, and make sure they get as much attention as the person who is just, building a platform, telling people what they want to hear, or, screaming about how Black women are messed up or how Black men are messed up, So this financial therapy program in the Black Business School is something that we've put together. And again, if you want to join us tonight, just go to boycewatkins.com, or you can hit the link in the bio and join the session tonight. So let's get back to quiet quitting. I want to mention something that I saw. I was reading a little bit of the reaction to quiet quitting. A lot of people cheered it on. And first of all, let me just say, I have no problem with it. I have no problem with the idea of drawing boundaries. I think that's really important. In fact, if you look at the history, and I think Marxism does a good job of highlighting the fact that we are a lot in America. Some would say that we are brainwashed capitalists, that there have been specific and strategic efforts by those who run corporations to train us at an early age, just from the way schools are structured, to become employees and to work ourselves into the ground. And if you don't do it, then everybody beats you up, everybody yells at you, everybody tells you you're a bad person. Or even when they've co-opted even some movements, like some would even say even some aspects, not all, of course, some aspects of even the women's liberation movement was driven to convince women that, that spending time with your kids is lame and that you should really want to be in a factory, because that's how you prove you're equal to men. Now, I'm not saying that women couldn't be in the factory or take care of the kids, whatever they want to do. But I think that to try to argue that a parent, male or female, should spend more time with their boss than with their own family, that right there is just a little bit of an awkward thought. But that's something a lot of us embrace.
Yeah. And I think the women's movement and feminism is such a broad term. I think that we need to take another look at the word feminism, because there's the entire body of literature out there, more than you could ever read in a lifetime, that talks about what feminism really is. There's a bunch of different types of feminism. There's radical feminism. There's commercialized feminism. There's actually structural feminism. It comes in all different forms. And us as academics, I'm going to speak as an academic, us as academics, we kind of cringe a little because the commercialized feminism says one thing, but I think it's time for us to deconstruct all the different aspects of feminism. Some of it I agree with, some of it I don't agree with, so it doesn't mean I want to throw the baby out with the bathwater of the entire broad term of feminism. I've been wanting to say that to you for a long time. I've been wanting to say that because I know that people are just like, Boyce is married to a feminist. But okay, anybody who, there are feminists who say, you know what? Women need to be compensated for having a baby. You have a baby, you should have time off. And, and so, without risking losing your job. And I think all of us can get behind that. So there's not, everything is not awful about feminism, but there are some things that are very, it's weaponized. So I will say that. But anyway, I don't want to get into this feminist thing.
No, I agree. I mean, I think that whatever label you put on it, I think that, most decent Black men I know are completely okay with women having rights to do what they want to do and do what they need to do and being respected in that process, and I don't really ride with men who don't think that way. If you think women are beneath you or they're all garbage, or you're just patently disrespectful in every way. I don't even relate to that. But I think overall, as long as it's fair and as long as everybody gets treated well, I think that works for sure. But speaking on that, when you talk about quiet quitting, there's another side to it that's really interesting. I've sort of reading all the perspectives. First, you had the predictable response from the captains of industry, if you will, like Ariana Huffington, who probably should have just shut up about all of this. Ariana Huffington comes out and says, if you're quietly quitting on your job, you're quitting on life. Well, Ariana Huffington is a lady that's worth billions of dollars, and she has been accused of exploiting the hell out of her employees. So, of course, she's going to say quiet quitting is bad. And Kevin O'Leary, another guy who owns a bunch of businesses, I don't dislike these individuals. I think you can learn from them about running business. But I still remember when I worked at AOL Black Voices, and I remember when Ariana Huffington, everything was wonderful until Ariana Huffington came in and bought up, AOL, or bought up, not AOL, I don't know, bought something. They merged it with the Huffington Post or something. And you know what they did? They just came in and they said, everybody's fired. And the thing is, I didn't need the money because I had my job at Syracuse at the time. But I was making maybe about $4,000 a month at the time. I had to work for free for a long time. And then I got the side gig and they were paying me $4,000 a month to write articles, which was great because I loved writing. I loved just writing anyway. But literally there were people that needed that money, and they just literally told, I could have sworn they told everybody everything's fine. Like on Tuesday, everything was okay. By Thursday, they just came in and said everybody's fired. And, and it was after the director of AOL Black Voices, from what I understand, met with Ariana. And I guess she didn't have confidence in what he was doing. And to be honest with you, I don't know if the guy knew what he was doing either. He really didn't impress me in that way. But long story short, it's like, these people that run these corporations, these robber barons, of course, they're going to hate quiet quitting. Of course, they're going to try to put it in your head that, oh, you got to go above and beyond all the time, stress yourself out, kill yourself early, abandon your family, also you can serve the corporation. Well, I'm not saying that can't be part of your agenda. What I'm saying is that needs to be the agenda you choose. You have to be able to specifically point to the benefits you're going to receive to doing that. And the problem in America is that wages have been going down. The workers' wages haven't been going up. They destroyed labor unions, so people can't get paid what they're worth. But yet they're expecting people to go above and beyond and all sorts of stuff as a matter of general principle. No, to hell with you. So I think that they need to shut up. They shouldn't even be in the conversation. But there are conversations about that quiet quitting phenomenon to make sure that you have balance when you do it. I think that, if you're burned out and you need to have some work-life balance, do that regardless. Right. But if you want to go into a job and get your check without doing the work, then don't be surprised when your boss does what a lot of bosses are talking about now. Now they have a term called quiet firing. And that's where the same way quiet quitting means you didn't really quit your job, but you kind of quit. Quiet firing means you didn't really get fired, but you kind of did. And a lot of Black people know this. The quiet firing is where they don't formally fire you, but when you ask for a raise, they say no. When you ask for a promotion, they say no. When you, when other opportunities emerge, they ignore you. Or when the worst assignments come along, they give you the worst assignments. You've seen this in academia, where if they want you to leave and they demoralize you, and they'll
put pressure. And the thing is that employers have been doing this for a very long time. It is not like a new phenomenon for employers to say, you're the good girl, you're the bad girl. You're the good guy. You're the bad guy.
Good point.
And whenever that comes up, we just put pressure on. So they're abusing their power in a lot of ways by saying, okay, so we know we have to paper trail you out of this. Yes. They will paper trail you, keep an eye on you, and write you up for every little thing. Again, this is the experiences that Black people, we've all had these experiences. Once you're the bad guy, no one likes you. So fine, whatever. I don't even know why we call it the bare minimum. I'm doing the job that you hired me to do. I'm doing the job that you hired me to do. It's a contract between me and you. Like I have a contract at my university. I teach so many courses a semester. I participate in advising. I participate on committees at the university. I do my job. And so that is what I'm contracted to do. I'm a contract employees. So this is what I'm doing. And I will fulfill all of that to the best of my ability, and, even go above and beyond, Boyce, in some ways, because it is, it's a privilege to be in front of students, to have students in my presence. I go above and beyond when it comes to students, and I know students are important at institutions. So yeah, I really do believe that. But I think also when you were talking about the landscape of the employee-employer landscape has changed so much now. It used to be like our grandparents, they would work at one job for the rest of their life. And then at the end, they'd get like a gold watch or something. Remember the 50th anniversary?
Yeah.
50-year anniversary.
And you die at your desk and they replace you next week.
But they give you like they give you a plaque. Oh, you've been employed here for 50 years, and we're going to give you, what do they give you? A gold watch for your children are sitting there. They barely saw you. They don't even know who their father is out there working. And all you get is a gold watch, and you got kids that don't even know who you are. Well, that's how it used to be, but not anymore. I think like millennials are now in their late 20s, early 30s now, and I think that they are bouncing around. They are not as committed. They're bouncing around to employers, and they're like, "Oh, I don't like it here. I don't need to deal with this. I'm gonna go find me a job somewhere else." And so I kind of like that. I kind of like that they're not taking mess like how we used to for our parents.
Well, I do agree with that, right? I think that not taking mess makes sense, right? I think that living your life in the way that's best for you, it's kind of a generally good idea, that I would highly recommend, and I think that it's, I would argue that it would be done in a way that is also considerate of those around you, not wasting people's time. And it's really crazy. In Fortune, they actually wrote an article about quiet quitting, and they talked about how it spreads even into dating, that there's also a phenomenon called quiet dumping, which is where basically you don't really formally dump a person. You just stop talking to them. You kind of do a slow fade and you just ghost them very slowly. And they say that this, all this sort of quiet quitting, quiet firing, quiet dumping.
Get the hint.
Right. It's all, well, they said it's all connected to the fact that we live in a passive aggressive society. That basically people, because everybody's fragmented, we create a lot of what are the words the lady used? I think she said hurt, lack of trust and self-doubt, because people don't come out and say it. They just kind of fade out, and they kind of gaslight each other and pretend to be friends, pretend to be, that you're in a relationship, pretend that you actually work together, but they're slowly disconnecting from the partnership because they don't want to deal with the confrontation.
When you talk about that passive aggressive, it reminds me of many times, and when I've been an employee, it's like it reminds me of experiences I've had with white people on my job. Like, I think they like me because they smiling at me and they're saying good job, but then they going around Becky's going behind my back and talking.
Everybody's working with Becky.
I'm like, who's this? Oh God, I got plenty of Beckys I work with who I thought they were my friend. I helped them get the job. I did all sorts of stuff, and then they turn around and then, what happened? You're like, what? Becky, you was smiling in my face and stabbing me in the back. Not scratching my back, but stabbing my back.
That's
what
true.
Was happening.
That's a good point. That's so they kind of claim that this sort of quiet dumping, quiet quitting thing is just not as good as just being honest. But also there are other people who are saying that quiet quitting is bad because you're kind of wasting your time in the situation. You're wasting your time, you're wasting the other party's time. Just go ahead and make your move. But then again, maybe the reason I quiet quit is because I really don't want to go through the trouble of getting another job. Like, the job is fine as long as I'm not putting a lot of effort into it, as long as I'm not having to, really stress myself out. And I could just tell any young person listening, I agree. I think that idea of working yourself into the ground and you're not getting anything clear in return for that, I'm not a fan of that. There's more to life than just work. However, the upside is, if you are an ambitious person and you want to accomplish something, you're going to have to work for that. You're going to have to be the person that goes above and beyond, and you ain't going to always get paid every time you work. You're building up credit points. Like, there was something like when I talked about that job with AOL Black Voices, that was my side hustle. I was at Syracuse University at the time. I wrote articles for them, hundreds of articles for them for free for 6 or 7 months I wrote more articles for them for free than their paid employees were writing. They were blown away that I could write so many good articles so fast. I mean, then that comes with, it being educated and all that, and really being hungry. I wanted success, right? And I knew that chasing success would not come with a weekly paycheck. I see so many people that need to be compensated for every little thing they do. Every time they lift a finger, when am I going to get paid? You going to send me some money? And it's like, yeah, I get it, but I don't get it. Even to this day, I do most of my content. I don't get paid when I do videos, and I've done 20,000 videos. I don't get paid for that, so, but it's an investment, so I think the question is, what are you investing in?
Yeah.
What are you, everybody needs to invest in something. What are you investing in?
Yeah. And I think that employers used to do a better job of developing their workers a little more. Like they used to do a better job of sitting down with their employees and saying, okay, this is the position that you have now. Where do you see your future? And they would say, yeah, I'm in this position, but I've always been curious about sales and I'd like to get into sales. And there used to be a time where employers would listen to employees who said they were interested in sales and say, you know what, how about every Friday you go to, I would get, you leave this department and go shadow the people in the sales department and start making your transition. It used to be a time where employers would help to develop employees, not just saying, here, you do this one job. And I don't really care about your life. I don't care about what's happening to you personally. I just want you to do this job. And I'm not going to help develop you as a person. About what you want to do. True. And then when you feel like your employer is there for you and wants you, if you're interested in sales and is supporting your career goals, then you are going to go above and beyond. Be like, you know what, on top of the work that I'm doing right now, I'm going to dedicate myself above and beyond to go work in the sales department because that's somewhere that I want to be. And I think what happens is that we have trust issues with our employers because they don't follow through sometimes with what they say they were going to do. And then, think about it. A lot of these corporations, they just care about the bottom line. They don't even care about you as an individual. They just care about the bottom line and will get rid of you in a second and not have any loyalty to you. But then they expect loyalty from their employees. They expect you to be loyal, but they're not. It's just a one-way street. So I think that's what's kind of
hoes ain't loyal.
They ain't going loyal at all.
These whole ass companies ain't loyal. You're right. That's a great point that you make. And actually, before I respond to that, because that's an excellent point you just made, I want to let everybody know you're listening to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. This is my wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins. You can actually follow us on Instagram at Boyce and Alicia. Also, if you want to join Alicia tonight for her financial detox and therapy session, she's going to actually help you understand your financial personality. That way you can get to the root of your financial choices that are not as good as you want them to be. Get to the root from a therapeutic standpoint. She's a licensed therapist on exactly how to understand your relationship with money so that you can get into a position to make the right move. So if you'd like to join us, just go to boycewatkins.com. The link is right there. Or you can also click the link in the bio if you're on Instagram. All right, so so hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. So let me respond to that, what you just said. I like what you said because, here's the thing. If people ask me, Doc, are you a capitalist, a socialist, or whatever? And I say, I can't be any of those things because none of those systems really work that well, in my opinion, in terms of how they're practiced. I think with capitalism, the problem with Americanized capitalism is that it is too extreme. It is too predatory and it is too harmful to too many people. It is a system that is eventually going to collapse on itself. Just look at the fact that the government now has $30 trillion worth of debt. That was unnecessary. We didn't even have to accumulate all that debt. We just did it because rich people were benefiting from these short-term, short-sighted moves. And where do we get all this? Well, my view is I remember in the 1970s, I wasn't.
You were born in the 70s.
I was born in the 70s. Yes, I am.
So was I.
Thank you for making fun of the fact that I'm getting old. But I don't remember any of this. But this is stuff I learned, when I was going through academic research on the history of American economics. And in the 1970s, that was when Milton Friedman who was a famous economist at the University of Chicago, where that's where you went to school.
Yes.
That's where that's where my wife got her degree. Well, University of Chicago is kind of like the Vatican of economics. It's just this place where they create so many brilliant economists and financial theorists. You know, that's ridiculous. My dissertation chair, Andrew Caroli, went to University of Chicago. And so here's the deal. Milton Friedman came up with this concept that I think was just biased and ridiculous, that the job of the corporation was to maximize shareholder wealth. Mm-hmm. He literally, and the thing is, you know, when you know enough mathematics, you can mathematically justify almost any idea that you want to have, even though, you know, even if it came out of your ass or came from your own personal bias. But so this idea that the corporation's job, that the manager's job is only to maximize shareholder wealth, people just embraced that. They just started to, people didn't question it because, I mean, it came from the Vatican.
Oh, he was saying that as if that's the way it is, or that's the way it should be.
He was arguing,
that's the way it was.
From what I understand, I didn't read all of his research, and he was a smart guy, but he was wrong on this, in my opinion, definitely from an ethical standpoint. But he would show through his research and his financial models that if the corporation simply focused on maximizing shareholder wealth, they would maximize the benefit to society. You know, which to me is kind of
so faulty.
Well, it's kind of the cousin to trickle down economics.
Yeah.
Y'all, anybody remember that where Reagan, you know, it was Reagan era thing where they literally thought that if they just took care of rich people, that they would trickle the money down, which is completely contradictory to what human beings do. Human beings don't give money away. Rich people don't get rich by giving their money away. So long story short, what happened was, and it took 40 years, 50 years really, for people to start really openly questioning that assumption. And Jamie Dimon at where is he? I guess, is he at Chase or American? I can't. But anyway, JP Morgan Chase. Jamie Dimon led a group of CEOs who all basically kind of signed this proclamation where they said, we're not going to do that anymore. We're not just going to care about shareholders. We're going to take care of all the stakeholders. We're going to take care of the employees. We're going to take care of the customers. We're going to take care of the suppliers. We're going to take care of the environment, everybody that's connected. And I thought that was a good idea. Now, the problem is that now you're kind of addicted to this really toxic capitalism that is destroying the country. And so what has occurred, in my view, linking back to your point, is the employees have been getting screwed royally for 50, 60 years. You know, in the 1960s, you actually had strong labor unions. Paul, I forgot his name, the little short guy who was the labor secretary under Clinton. I forgot his name. Paul something, smart guy. He said in the 1960s, the U.S. was doing it right. He said we had CEOs that were out here balling, making money. That's fine. But then you had workers that had unions and good wages and were doing much better at that time. Since that time, it's been downhill. Since the 70s, since Milton Friedman, grab my arm, lady. since Milton Friedman, you know, made that declaration that the job of the corporation was to maximize shareholder wealth, you started seeing this sort of decline in the morale of employees who used to trust corporations. They used to believe, okay, if I'm loyal to this company, the company's gonna be loyal to me. No, that damn company's loyal to the stock price. They're loyal to the shareholders. And there are a few companies that deviate from this, like Costco, where they pay their employees extremely well. And so what happens? Well, the employees are really loyal to the company because they get treated well.
Yeah. And I think like during that time, I just remember reading about, because as a social worker, we're interested in that kind of thing, in economics. And I think what was happening was that we were widening the gap between how much CEOs were making and how much the regular employees were making. Yep. And so, I mean, even at universities, like, I can't believe how much university presidents make. I guarantee you faculty don't make that much money. As a faculty member, I'm at probably the top of whatever I could make, and I don't make that much money. And I think it is problematic that unions, you know, got clobbered. And I come from a family of teachers, and me, you know, more than anything, I remember picketing with my mom, in Gary, Indiana, about just having a contract. Like, they would work with no contract for several years, and just asking for health insurance and basic things that they were asking for. And so, you know, the unions being demolished is really sad. And I think now unions are just really, I don't even know how powerful they are anymore as much as they used to be. I used to have, when I teach university courses, but I used to teach this course and we would talk about economics, and I would have the students watch this documentary called The Corporation. Have you seen it?
No.
The Corporation. I mean, it talks about everything that we're talking about right now. And it also said that there's now a push for corporations to be a little more sensible and to think about their impact on the environment. Not everybody, but a lot of them. And being more mindful of, child labor laws in other countries. Like, and they interviewed the CEO of Nike, believe it or not, in The Corporation. You should gotta watch Corporation. And they showed him video. They were like, we went to your warehouses in Indonesia, and we're filming children who are 12 years old, putting together your shoes.
What did he say?
And it was like pennies on the dollar you're paying these people, and then you're charging how much money for Jordans. And it's being, and for Nike and for all of this. And so being more mindful. So I think corporations are starting. I don't know how well they're doing, but I don't know if it's some Machiavellian thing where they're making people believe that they care about their environment, but on the other end, they're really not. I don't know.
Well, money is a drug, and you can't really trust a drug addict. And so corporations, in my view, are financial drug addicts. The whole system is unfortunately set up where if it ain't making dollars, it ain't gonna make sense. And if you are that person in the system trying to change the system and do something different, the system's going to spit you out and replace you with somebody who does what the system needs. So that's true for capitalism. And also I think about the American political system. That's why we can't get good politicians. The system does not reward ethical, intelligent behavior or long-term thinking. It rewards the kind of debauchery that we end up seeing every year. And so you were mentioning college presidents making money. Guess who's the highest paid college president? Don't look at my screen. You can't look.
I'm looking at your screen. You gotta be kidding me.
Paula S. Wallace at the Savannah College of Art and Design makes $5,037,567. Who would have thought that? Savannah College of Art and Design.
And you got students going to college paying all this money for art and design degree, and then the president is making all this money.
$5 million.
That's
what?
Crazy.
That's ridiculous. Number 2 is Stephen K. Klasko at Thomas Jefferson University. I don't know where that school is.
You're looking at universities. You should look at CEOs too.
Oh, well,
large corporation CEOs.
Oh my
look
God.
At their salary.
They make this much in a week. Ronald J. Daniels from Johns Hopkins makes $3.2 million. Vanderbilt's president Nicholas Zeppos makes $3.1 million. Amy Gutman, University of Pennsylvania, makes $3.1 million. Okay, so let's Google highest paid CEOs. Hit the thumbs up button if you haven't done it yet. Please hit the thumbs up button, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Okay, highest paid CEO last year was Jeff T. Green from the Trade Desk, who made $834,959,367. Zig Serafin from Qualtrics International made $540 million. Peter Kern from Expedia Group made $296 million. Expedia, they look at your credit scores. Ariel Emanuel from the Endeavor Group Holdings made $294,949,000.
That's crazy. Your average employee, I'm sure the average employee makes nowhere near that. I mean, how much money do you have to make? Do you have to be like hog everything up?
The average employee makes nowhere near $800
I mean, nowhere
million.
near, like it's nowhere near fair. Like, are they willing? How do you sleep at night knowing that you have just made? Do you really think that you earn that money? Well, I mean, do you really think that it's just you're the top and that's all there is to it? Like, I don't know. I'm a little outraged by it, but someone mentioned in there about Clinton. I saw someone in Instagram chat mention something about Bill Clinton. Yeah, he it's interesting. So we talk about we talk about social issues, but I really think in terms of financial issues, I really think that the Clintons, Obama, all of them are very conservative, and they followed a conservative line when it comes to what they do with their finances in terms of their policies. And Clinton and that NAFTA. NAFTA, I mean, that was almost like the nail. I mean, that was worse than Reagan could have ever done. And Reagan's did some terrible things. But I think Clinton with that NAFTA was almost like he just continued on what Reagan was doing.
NAFTA was garbage.
He just kept it going and sat there with his saxophone, playing saxophone to get the black vote. And we fell for it because he's the black president. We always fall for it.
We're gonna fall for it again.
It's awful.
Yeah. Well, I found this article about CEO versus worker pay. So you asked about that. Mm-hmm. So it says here in the Guardian that the wage gap between chief executives and workers at some of the U.S. companies with the lowest paid staff grew even wider last year, with CEOs making an average of $10.6 million, while the median worker received $23,968. A study of 300 top U.S. companies released by the Institute for Policy Studies on Tuesday found that the average gap between CEO and median worker pay jumped to 670 to 1. That means that the CEO received $670 for every $1 the worker received. The ratio was up from 604 to 1 in 2020. 49 firms had a ratio of 1,000 to 1.
1,000 to 1.
Yeah. At more than a third of the companies surveyed, they found that the median worker pay did not keep pace with inflation.
See, this is where, people want to say that government should stay out of all of this. I really do think that we need some regulation, there needs to be a policy on this. This is the real crisis, Boyce. We could pay back our student loans if you would just pay us, something about what we're helping you. We're helping your company make money on whatever, the janitor, all the way down to the person in the cafeteria, all the way down to the whatever. I don't know. It just doesn't matter. We are at a point where there's no excuse why we are not being paid a livable wage. Well, and then you want to know why we're quietly quitting. We're quietly quitting because you know what? We got to start our own businesses, right, Boyce?
Yeah.
I'm working. How should you be working 2 or 3 jobs just to keep up with your bills? And you're still living paycheck to paycheck, and all of your time is being consumed being in service jobs.
Mm-hmm.
That's shameful.
Well, I agree with you 100%. And I'm going to jump back into this article because I think that it really speaks. I mean, it really just speaks to not just America, but on this platform, we talk also specifically to Black folks. You are the top priority. And I think that for Black people, we always have to remember that our situation is just different. Like when things are bad for white folks, it's much worse for us. When their wages drop, our wages drop even more. And I think that this really speaks to what we're living through right now, which is what I consider to be the Black economic revolution. We're the canary in the mine. We're the first ones to decide that something needs to be made better. With the civil rights movement, look at how many people benefited from our civil rights movement.
We didn't even benefit as much as everyone else did.
Right. They piggybacked off it. Right. And so I think right now that's what you're seeing, an economic revolution amongst Black folks, where Black wealth is becoming very important. Mm-hmm. Black folks are starting businesses, starting side hustles, investing like crazy. And I really encourage everybody to kind of just understand that part of the reason this is happening, the reason it's appropriate for us, is because America, because of its overcommitment to capitalism, is kind of headed to hell in a handbasket. And so I'll quickly remind everybody that don't forget that tonight, Dr. Alicia is doing a financial therapy session where she is going to help you understand your financial personality. This is important because what I find is that change is hard. And I think that your background as an addiction specialist is really essential, considering that we are, in many cases, the same way capitalist corporations are addicted to money. Many of us are addicted to bad financial habits. A lot of us struggle with financial addiction, where whether it's how we spend our money, our consumerism.
It's retail therapy.
Yeah, it could be how we spend our money. It could be we're even addicted to the way we're taught to make money. Like when I grew up, I was addicted to this idea that I'm supposed to go get a job, slave for a corporation until I die, have no wealth and assets to pass to my family, and that's it. And so I think that when you're talking about modifying behavior, we have to confront those habits and addictions that plague us. So that's one of the reasons why I think your financial therapy sessions are so critical. And I'm really proud that the Black Business School is embracing that. And by the way, if you want to join tonight, just go to boycewatkins.com, or if you're on Instagram, you can hit the link in the bio. But can you kind of speak to that? Like,
yeah, it's a legitimate concern, and I work with a lot of couples who are in business together, and their business is making money when they can get along. And their business loses money when they can't get along because it's all this fighting going on. And they just waste so much time and energy trying to get their marriage together that that they need to be able to sit down with each other is to and use these skills on how they relate to each other with how they relate to each other in terms of professionally as well as, you know, romantically. And it is so important because I think I have seen couples who are able to now clear away some of the past baggage between the two of them. And then they're able to say, okay, we're going to do this. And they're way successful because of it. And so, it not only helps them, but it also helps everybody in their household. I mean, can you imagine children growing up in a household where the parents get along and you're making all this money and you're being successful and the children win in terms of what they see in their house and they win in terms of their inheritance. You know, it just all around, it's a missing piece that I think I really appreciate you bringing me in on, because that was something you were hearing from a lot of students in the Black Business School, that they were struggling with these issues. And then you just came to me and had this idea. I'm like, oh yeah, I do it every single day. This is what we talk about.
Even financial anxiety. You know,
Yeah.
you're an expert on anxiety. And I said, I meet a lot of my students who have tremendous amounts of economic anxiety because money stress. I believe money stress is literally the number one, if not top 2 or 3 stressors in families, in Black households. I believe that is the thing that keeps people up at night.
Yeah.
Causes us to have to make tough decisions, causes a lot of stress. So even dealing with financial anxiety, or if I'm a person who says, I got to quit this job is ruining my mental health, I need to start a business, but I'm scared. Well, that also is an anxiety inducing experience. So I don't see, to me, the implementation of a therapist in a lot of our economic models as Black people was a no-brainer. It was very natural. And I think more of us need to do things like that.
Yeah, they really do. And I think that fear keeps us back. You know, we're so scared of stuff. And it is frightening. I mean, I don't want you to say ignore it. I mean, fear is a good thing. I think worry is a great thing. But I think we've talked about this before. Worrying is wonderful. It should motivate you to put a plan in place. It should motivate you to pay attention to things. And I think where it becomes an issue is when it starts to become crippling, and you're just like, you're frozen, the frozen worry, where you're just going over and over and ruminating in your head, and it's not producing anything. And then what happens? You start to avoid, and then the problems just get worse. And it doesn't even matter how much money you make. I mean, you could make millions and millions of dollars. You could still have issues. And in many ways, it's more money, more problems.
Got 99 problems, but my wife ain't one. Well, well, you know what? I tell you what,
that was true.
There's so much more we could discuss on this. But by the way, so if you want to join Dr. Alicia tonight for the financial therapy session, it's actually free to everybody that's in the Prime program, passive recurring income program. If you're in there, then it's free. If not, there is a fee, but it's worth it. There's a money back guarantee on everything in the Black Business School. So if you're interested in joining these sessions, everything's recorded, everything's saved. She has workbooks and all kinds of stuff that you can download instantaneously. So feel free to go to boycewatkins.com and look for Dr. Alicia's financial therapy sessions. And also she's going to hit financial addiction. She's going to hit what's financial anxiety, all the
attachment styles,
financial attachment styles tonight. There was another term you had used that I thought was really good. I can't remember what
was it.
Financial, I don't remember what it was. It was something else. It was something.
What was it related to?
I think that it had to do with, I don't remember. There were so many different things, so many different angles.
You gotta look at the list. I did send you a list. Did you get it?
Yeah, I know you did. You did. You always send me the list. So anyway, guys, so that's it. So make sure you take care of your mental health, and God bless you. And it was real. It was great to hang out with you. If you're listening online, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Also, in case you don't know, this podcast is on Spotify. If you just look up the Dr. Boyce breakdown, I put it under the Dr. Boyce breakdown on Spotify. So if you want to just listen to the Pillow Talks or any other content that we do, feel free to do that.
Man, we got a great conversation in the chat here on Instagram.
I know one guy came in and said I was a simp.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
You would see that one comment. I'm like seeing like Leo the King is like, I'm just saying, I don't know who this person is, but they making great comments.
Yeah, I mean,
can I call people out? I don't know.
yeah. Well, the simp comments don't.
Oh, I don't call that person out.
That's usually somebody who's just not that smart anyway. So it's, if you ever want to insult me, I think two insults I don't hear is like when I've heard people call me a simp. That doesn't bother me because I know that I'm not. You're probably the simp because you're probably living in your mama's basement and can't keep a good woman. Right. But then the other one is when people call me stupid. And I told one guy, he said, Dr. Boyce, I think you're stupid. And I said, well, I'd rather you call me an asshole. And he said, what are you talking about? I said, because if you call me an asshole, I might be inclined to believe you because some days I am an asshole. But when you call me stupid, I just don't believe you because I know that I'm not stupid. So there we go.
Oh, I just finished my book on stupidity, by the way.
Really?
It's quite fascinating.
So what was it about my comment that made you think about that book?
I'll keep it to myself.
Ooh,
yeah.
Ooh,
no, you start to learn. You start to learn that smart people are able to think about different ways in which they could be wrong.
Well, actually, no, but in all seriousness, though, the first thing I learned when I got my PhD was how little you know.
Yeah.
That's the first step to being intelligent.
That's the first step to being smart.
The first step to being knowledgeable is to know how little you know. So anybody who thinks they know everything is probably not that smart. It means that their universe is so small that they've covered every inch of their little world, but they live in a tiny world. So to me, when you start getting exposed to knowledge, your world gets bigger and you say, wow, I can't cover all this ground. So that makes you respect other perspectives and other points of view so that you can then, sort of fit into that in an appropriate way.
So, makes sense to me.
There we go. So anyway, all right. So it was great hanging out with everybody. Good to see you and God bless you. And I hope you guys have a great day. And thank you for listening to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. Again, if you want to join Dr. Alicia's financial therapy sessions on Sunday night, just go to boycewatkins.com or hit the link in the bio. Also, I'm doing an event called Stock Market Decoded on Tuesday, where basically I'm going to break down all the myths and all the things about the stock market that your family told you that were wrong, so you can go back and be certified and to educate your own family on investing. And so after you go through the training, it's a one-day training. After you're done, you will be given an opportunity to take an exam. If you pass the exam, you can get a certificate. And then I want you to go teach your relatives everything you learn, because we got to build wealth in our community. We got to make good financial decisions. And I hope you agree with that perspective. So take care, everybody. Have a good day. God bless you. And we will see you soon.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.